All right, y'all, it is still Sunday, December 8th, and I just wanted to recap a couple of pieces that go into the web for anyone who's missing chunks. Now, you can go back through this podcast. It's only a couple episodes in, so and catch up on a lot of the reasoning that's going into the rambling. However, I had someone leave a comment on one of the more recent videos stating, you know what? If this is something that has been watched for a while, then it would make sense that Jabaden selected a prosecutor as his Veep. And I responded, and the comment was taken down quick. And what I said was, not only a prosecutor, but a prosecutor with experience in transnational, organized crime rings. Okay. And they took that down. They took that comment down. I don't know why. Why would they take that down? I wonder. The same way they took down the video where I talked about Romania having intel that outside powers were abusing the algorithm without their knowledge to perpetuate propaganda for their red hat candidate. And that video got taken down quick. It's up here, though. It's up here. It's on the as seen on TT list. Now, that's important because over here, we're scheduled to get rid of that app on a very specific date that was very interesting to all of us. Since the concern was supposed to be national security, why are we leaving it through a cycle? It's almost like we wanted to leave it there. It's almost like we knew it was going to be utilized. It's almost like it was a wee bit of a trap. But, you know, again, that's just us talking, and we're supposed to be crazy, except for we're not sounding as crazy when you put everything on the world scale together and realize that, okay, yeah, no, this is not a coincidence of things. These are multiple things popping off. We are looking at coordinated pop-offs on both sides of this, okay? Ruski is doing what they've been plotting to do with their folks and their players and their pieces. And the folks that have been monitoring it for at least 8 years are also doing what they got to do, pulling their counter moves, all right? Right? Is it starting to fill in yet? We've been saying this for the past month, but why else do you think Ms. Ma'am conceded so quickly? She is a fighter. She is a fighter. And as she said many times in her speeches, and like I said before, those were hints and reminders. She has been trying to tell you guys this whole time. Every time she said, I was a prosecutor, I've prosecuted transnational organized crime, I know people like this. She said it again and again, and it wasn't because we weren't hearing it. It was so we would remember when we got through to this part that, oh, right, there is someone in on this who specializes in this shit, and there's no way that she's missed this. If you read her memoir, she's absolutely been in the loop on this since 2016. So again, you want us to believe that this fighter who's been watching this and has been aware of it for the last at least 8 years just was like, that's it, bye. Honestly, the other side should have been nervous at that. They were so busy thinking that no one saw it that they didn't even realize that was kind of suspicious. That was too easy, almost. That was very quick. Why so quick? Is it starting to make sense why so quick? The ball needed to get rolling, okay? And as we've said on the videos, per FBI rules, if they suspect some form of involvement, okay, in an election, they can't do anything. If they interfere with the interference, it ruins any case they might have had. You can't really prosecute something that hasn't happened. It has to happen. The crime has to happen. You know how stings work. You don't jump out when the guy shows up. You jump out after they exchange the money and the transaction is complete. For us, the transaction is complete at certification. And at that point, someone can say, all right, well, now we can whip out all this information on who we think was involved. And it's going to be way bigger than our guys right here and what they've been doing. Okay? Remember, if this dude is baitfish, then that means everything we've let slide because it's small potatoes compared to the large scale thing at hand. And the shit he was doing was pretty bad. Although, honestly, if they knew this was happening for a while and they knew players, like the government has known this dude's been talking to Russia since like the 80s. I'm wondering how much real stuff they gave him access to. Like, how many of those files were really real? Or did they absolutely know that he was going to run and sell them to adversaries? And so they maybe, planted convenient information. I don't know. That's a rabbit hole too. But I'm just saying, it is highly unlikely that we are not involved, we are unaware, and we have no plans going on. That seems less likely by the day, especially on the large scale. But let's also keep in mind things like we have seen this team, the Harris team, pull switcheroos without leaks. This team has been airtight, okay? And I remind you again, like I said in the American Sting, when Biden dropped and they replaced him with her, there was no leaks, okay? We didn't get a heads up. We were complaining and saying we need someone else, and they didn't say, hey, we hear you, just whoosh, right? And no one knew. And they demonstrated how they know how to lay a trap, lay the bait, walk them right into it at the debate. They showed, okay? Throughout this whole time, they have demonstrated what they are capable of in terms of keeping things in terms of pulling a surprise, pulling a switcheroo, in terms of understanding the psychology of the other side and the things they're going to do. Remember when they threw Shapiro out there when she was picking the VP and they intentionally leaked that it was going to be Shapiro, and Red Team went and, oh yeah, they started going after him, and then surprised it was someone else. Same thing, how they let them have their convention first. And they blew everything on Joe Biden being old, and they basically had a worship session for their guy, and then, oopsies, if we switched it, it's someone else. Not a leak. So, like I said on the video, some of y'all come into my comments talking about, well, her intern said, if you don't shut up, okay? The intern doesn't know. Her neighbor doesn't know. And the reason you saw the blue boys, you saw Obama, you saw him, he was mad, and he was watching his mouth, but he was legitimately upset, like he knows a little something now. And same with Newsom, except for he was giddy, like he knows a little something too. Obama's right next to Biden. Newsom has work history with Harris. People were like, why would they tell them? What do they have to do with anything? Because y'all keep asking for hints. And while the hints keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, a lot of y'all are still like, nope, not big enough. I need them to go on TV and announce that he's a bad guy. And it's like, no, you're missing it. It's bigger than him. It's not, it might not even be us. It might be, an international thing. Okay. So that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And they cannot say anything, or the Mad Hatters will throw a fit. Remember, we have to avoid the blues coming for our God King, or it doesn't work, okay? It has to be swept out by something else, someone else, where they can't claim victim and us coming for them and weaponizing and all the shit they usually say whenever they're held accountable. I lost my thought for a second. So they can't say anything. That's why they just keep saying hang in there and fight and don't lose your power. They're not saying things like free, fair, give up, stop talking about these other things you guys are talking about. There's not been a word about any of that from any of them. No one's told us to stop and shut up and stop saying that. They just keep saying we're disappointed and don't lose your power and don't give up and we're going to fight. And, then it got a little more with what Obama said and with Newsom said. And while the Mad Hatters are telling us we're crazy, they picked it up too. And on their side, they're throwing a fit. Like, that does not sound like people who are about to lay down. That sounds suspicious. And they aren't wrong, darling. Whatever information they got was intentional, strategical release from people close enough to them that we should know, oh, okay, all right, hang on, that's a smoke signal, right? Okay? All right, go back in the playlist, go back in the podcast of this playlist, and just, give it a run through. See what you think.